Last week we talked a lot about the state of retro gaming, and I don't want to say it was controversial, but some people had issues because you work in a game store. So they said, Ian, you're a reseller. How could you be talking about stuff like this? And I think a lot of people either were trying to watch it, interpret it without actually being objective, or they were intentionally ignoring things we said. But let's just go through again. What's the difference?
Okay, well, I feel like there's a couple points that I should bring up. One, for whatever reason, when you go to that YouTube, at least the video link on it, if you're not listening to it on audio, every player that I've watched it on jumps it ahead about 3 minutes, which completely bypasses the part where I talk about the fact that I sell video games for a living.
Oh no, you say that in the beginning of it.
Okay, well,
it's on the video. I edited.
No, I didn't think you did. I just, for whatever reason, that part doesn't seem to show up. Anyways, I don't feel like I have much defending of myself to do, so I'm just going to cover a couple of things. One, I never really expressly said that I dislike resellers. Obviously, I sell video games for a living. My problem is people who game the system and game the market. So, to give an example...
And how do they game the market in the system?
Well, here's...
To reiterate.
Here's an example, and it's not the best example, but just off the top of my head. Xenoblade Chronicles comes out for the Wii, right? Anyone who knows anything about games, this is an exclusive, this is going to have a low print run. Everyone knows that this game is going to be worth about $100 in a year's time. Anyone who's smart. What do I, as a respectable business, do? If I were to have it, now granted, only GameStop's carried Xenoblade Chronicles, you order it in, you buy it, you sell it for the price that it retails at. What I am against, at that point,
in time.
What I am against are people who buy copies of this. And there were people who went around to all the GameStops in San Diego and bought up the copies of Xenoblade Chronicles.
And why were they going for a lot more?
Because it was a quality RPG released at the end of the Wii's lifespan, and it was exclusive to GameStop. Okay. Most places only got enough in to cover pre-orders with maybe one extra copy. But anyways, the point is, a lot of these people went around, gathered up the copies, and sat on them for a year until the prices jumped up and sold them.
So they intentionally depleted the market of the supply in order to manipulate the price.
Right, and they kept it out of someone's hands who would have played it. Of course, if something is going for $500, any game, I'm going to charge a price that reflects its going rate. That is a business. That is how people stay in business. That is how you make money. I'm not opposed to people making money off a hobby. That's how hobbies exist. If there were no marketplaces, if there was no market, if there was no reseller, whether you like a certain reseller or not, your hobby suddenly doesn't have as much legs to stand on. Two other things that I would bring up that are sort of related.
I would bring something up that we didn't discuss about the difference between what you're doing and someone who's either going to a flea market and bringing the stock back, is that when you are buying your games, people are coming to you to sell them. Correct. That is a huge difference versus the asshole reseller. Not all the resellers are assholes, but the assholes that will just run around the swap meet, buy them for $1, and then mark them at $30 for Super Mario 3. The difference is you are advertising yourself as a video game seller. They know you are. They know that's your business. When they come to you, they know that, one, this is a person that knows either more than I do, or I had a chance to do my research on this before I came to you. But I want to sell to you anyway, either because I like you, I just want to add in my hands easily to get credit for something I want right now. I don't want to deal with eBay, whatever. And when you're buying, say, Super Mario 3 from a person, you take into account what you're selling it for. And you're not going to offer them $1, correct?
No, I don't. I don't offer $1 at all. The difference is also, well, people should do their homework. But when someone brings me a copy of, say, Mario 3, I would offer about 10 in cash for it.
10 or more in credit, even.
Or more in credit. I'd offer about 20 in credit. Why? Because it sells well for me. The thing is, when people bring me a pile of games, I'm not saying all sellers or resellers do this, but I do expect people to have done their homework. I expect people are coming to me for a reason. They know that they're not going to get full market value for their games. But two, I will. If someone brings me a stack of games and they've got a Misadventures of Tron Bonne in there, I'm going to set it aside and be like, this is what I can offer you for it, but this game is currently going for $180. You might do better to throw it on eBay, just in case it's something that slipped by them. And you know what I find most of the time? They still sell it to me, because if they're in the store to sell the games. They need the money quickly.
Sure.
They don't want to deal with eBay. They don't want to deal with Craigslist or anything like that.
It's convenience for them.
Right. So there's a convenience factor. Two other things that I would mention. Actually, a couple of people have brought this up. If we don't like the prices, then if I don't like how crazy some of these prices are getting, why don't we keep the prices the same? It came up, I think, because I made whether I expressly mentioned it or not, the example I used last podcast was a Demon's Crest, how I used to sell it for 20 and now it goes for about 80. And someone said, well, why, a couple of people said, why don't you still sell it for 20? Getting up in my face. Well, if you don't like the prices, then why don't you keep it the same?
Getting up in your face.
Because games don't materialize out of thin fucking air. If I want a game in the store and I want to sell it, that means I have to buy it from someone. And most of those people, at least the people who shop in our stores, are informed and they know what a game is going for. So if a game goes up in value in the overall market, I have to pay more for it. I shouldn't have to explain this business to people, but I have to pay more for it.
Because again, when you get Demon's Crest in, you're not giving the person $2 for it.
Right, exactly.
You're giving more of a fair market versus what you have to sell it at.
And I can't give someone X amount of dollars and then charge $5 more for it. That's not how a business runs. So all I have to really say to that is, if you want to affect change, then either you have to be willing to sell things to me for cheap, or you just don't buy prices at titles you don't like, and they will go down in value. But that is why the price goes up. That's why it can't stay the same. If I don't bring in stock, then I don't have a business. I have to pay more for what you're selling.
So that was a point that maybe, again, these are people, a lot of these people are either, they complain because you do business a little bit more ethically than probably they do. I'm just going out on a limb and saying that. A lot of these people either, they like doing backdoor dealing on Craigslist or on eBay. And the backdoor dealing on eBay is when someone already won an auction or it's in progress, which are both against eBay's policies, by the way. They'll contact the person and either offer them a lot more or have them end the auction early, and that goes on a lot for a lot of things. So that occurs. So people will say, well, everyone else does that. No, not everyone does that shit. Not everyone will backdoor a deal on Craigslist for a Flintstones Dinosaur Pete cart. And this has happened before. And there's people out there who know about stuff like this where there'll be a game that won't even go for like dirt cheap, but cheaper, and then the deal will be made, and then they'll either post it on a forum or they'll tell someone about it, but all of a sudden that deal is gone. Someone else grabbed it. Because a lot of collectors are scumbags.
Right.
Sorry to say. And that comes from a collector. But there is an ethical way of being a collector and doing business. And I spoke about this before at Portland Retro Gaming Expo. That you can do things the nice way, or you can try to backdoor and backstab people. They remember that. And I do believe somewhat in karma. The other thing, though, what separates, say a business like you and someone else is that, for example, when you got, which is a hot game right now because I think, again, it's been manipulated, Hagane for Super Nintendo. The difference between your store is that when you get that in, you'll sell it right away.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say before. When I get a game in, it will immediately go up on the shelf for its whatever rate we determine.
Sure.
Sometimes it's above, sometimes it's at, sometimes it's below going rate. But it's never going to be exorbitant. And no, I'm never going to sit on it with the hopes that $400 complete copy of Hagane is going to be worth $700 to $800 later.
Yeah.
I'm going to sell it right then and there.
Likewise, you're not hunting for more of them to have 6 or 7 to deplete the market again, so then you can charge whatever you want because you can't find it.
Yeah, no. Another good example is when Fire Emblem Awakening came out for the 3DS, GameStops were completely devoid of them for like a month or two because of just they took too many pre-orders or whatever, and our distributors had them. And people were scalping that game for a couple of weeks for $80, $90, and we were getting them in. I could have scalped them. I sold them for $40 or whatever the going, MSRP was.
I'm going to move this over so you get in the picture a little bit more, just for our YouTube audience.
So, the thing was, I also think it had to do with, people hear what they want to hear.
Yeah, of course.
People hear what they want to hear, but, people are like, well, it's, he's hypocritical. It doesn't matter if he's ethical or not. He's still making money off of selling video games. You're missing my point. I have no problem with people making money off of video games, zero. What I have a problem with is people who are doing it in a shady way.
Sure, that's the big difference.
Right.
Again, there's people out there on certain sites or forums that, again, a lot of people have an issue with me because I was on Pawn Stars to begin with. And I think that was dragged into a little bit and not realizing what I actually did on that show. I'll just say that.
Sure.
and people were saying, well, Pat doesn't care about the games or whatever, blah blah. They just did that because they know I couldn't say anything back, basically, because of the situation with being on the show. That's fine. But again, there's a big difference between you and them. I hate to say it, and I also hate to say it that there is something to be said about an actual business that actually invested money in infrastructure and a brick and mortar employees. That to me is one level above, someone that's just buying off Craigslist and flipping it. Not to say that's not a bad thing, but I put more stock in what you say and how you operate versus that. But that's just my personal opinion on that.
And the last thing I would go into, and this is not so much a rebuttal, but I thought this was funny, so I'll bring it up because I also saw this term used a lot. There are people referring to what places like us or other resellers charge for games as charging collector's prices.
Yes.
Quote unquote. Collector's prices.
And collectability. That's what I want to ram to.
My problem with the term collector's prices is this, and this is not meant to be an insult to any collector. This is more of a compliment. You can take it how you want. You collectors, you hardcore collectors, are some of the most frugal motherfuckers I know on the planet. You ain't paying $80 for Demon's Crest. You're waiting until you can find that for below $20, and then you're picking it up because
I waited for it. I couldn't find it.
Right. It's a game that you want to have. You will play it at some point if you're a collector player. But you're not looking to play. No, who pays that price? The players, the gamers, and it's adult. The terminology is all backwards. The people who are paying the highest prices for games are generally not collectors. They're the people who want to take it home immediately and play it because they don't want to wait a year to find a copy of it.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And I bought mine for about, I got a good deal, package deal. I got mine for about probably 40, just to let you know. I only feel 20. I should have bought it when it was 20 2 years ago at the swap meet when a seller had it. I should have bought it then. I don't know why I didn't. But anyway, so that's all. We covered everything on that.
Yeah, like I said, I don't feel the need to.
And people are going to hate on me for whatever. They're going to hate on you for whatever. But the majority, if you look on the YouTube video, it's like 98% thumbs up. Very little thumbs down.
Like I said, I don't feel a need to defend myself. People either didn't listen or they didn't.
And the most vocal ones usually are the ones that are trying to defend themselves off their shady practices.
Yeah, but those are the things that I felt I probably should clarify a little bit because I didn't really get into how things run at the store. I don't camp on shit. You don't try to buy a market. Whether it's Kid Clown buying the 4 or 5 available on eBay and then jacking the price times 2, or an Odyssey, or the one guy in Florida trying to sell every freaking Odyssey one system that's available. You're not trying to do that. That's like I said in the YouTube comments, if a game comes in and it's going for 50, and I've got a hunch that it's going to be 200 next year, I sell it for 50, and if it's going for 200 next year, I suck it up. I suck it up, and another copy will come through. I sold Earthbound for between $60 and $80 for years, knowing that game was going to go up at some point as I saw collecting trends, and now it's going for anywhere from $150 to $200. So I mean, whatever. So what? I could have made an extra couple $100 if I sat on those copies.
But you have a store that has to pay lease and has to pay employees.
Well, that's the other thing. That sort of business practice works if it's one person at a flea market, one person at Craigslist. I need to make that money today.
There you have it.
So
I'm sure people will complain, but who cares? And people also had a problem with us taking a shot at sealed collectors.
Look, okay, I want to make one thing clear, because there was a guy who got all upset. Look, if you really like a game, one game, and you want a sealed copy of it,
I got a sealed game right here. I love Top Secret Episode.
Go for it.
This is sealed.
Go for it. I don't have sealed DuckTales. Why? Because I love it, and it's a great game, and it would look kind of cute on a shelf. But
this is sealed. In fact, Conspiracy. I love Go 13.
Anyway. It's not like It's not like baseball cards when they're sealed and they're unopened and untouched. The joy you're not experiencing any of the joy that.
Well, you're turning it from again a game to a
commodity or a collectible. Yeah,
that's the difference, and that's the thing where this is an argument that goes round and round. I used to get on arguments with people all the time on forums about that, where it's like once you get to the point where all you want is sealed, sure, you can collect your favorite game's sealed. That's fine, but if you're going for like a 500 sealed games, you might as well be collecting anything else.
Anything, right? Anything
that you're not playing now, because now all of a sudden you've transformed what the thing is. to something else, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
It's no longer something you can take out and play. It's now something that you can. Wow, it's just now a piece of art. If this was sealed, it's just a piece of artwork in a cardboard box.
Right.
Why don't you collect cereal bowls then, if that's the case?
And then the argument is going to be, well, I mean, right, you can go around and around in circles, but yes, you have changed it from a video game into something else, and my issue with that is video games are primarily bought and sold, even by collectors who don't play a lot, to be played.
And because they are playable.
Right, and you're turning it into something, I mean, the copies are finite, and they will only get more finite as time goes on. You're taking them out of hands of people who would use them for their intended purpose.
There you have it. There you go. And I don't really hate sealed collectors. They're just really weird, though. I'm just saying, personal experience. They're nice people. They're just different.
I feel like
they're just different. They're just like there's something about. I mean, this is all nostalgia. But the skilled collectors, they're going back to the point where they see it on the store shelves, perfect before they even purchased it.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I just can't wrap my head around getting to that point. To me, this is awesome enough that I can have these here.
Yeah, the moment I liked was not holding the sealed game; it was tearing into the wrapper. If there was a way that I could recreate,
and there you have it. There you have it.
Yeah.
It's the mindset of what do you get more joy out of? Actually getting it off the shelf or ripping it open so you can play it. Yeah. Case in point. We're going to move on from that.
Sure.
That's a perfect end to that.